A very warm welcome to all of you to the Terra Confluence 2024 Terra Torrents a Dialogue series. We are extremely pleased and honored to welcome Aditya Ranjan, State Program Manager at the Department of Panchayati Raj, Government of Jharkhand, India, as a distinguished speaker for the Terra Torrent Dialogue series at the Terra Confluence 2024, which is part of a Earth Day event series hosted by Global Climate Association. Aditya brings a wealth of knowledge and experience in sustainable development, disaster preparedness, and resilience building at both community and government levels in India. His hands on experience in coordinating disaster management efforts, coupled with his expertise in implementing water sanitation and hygiene, which is known as the WASH initiatives, make him an invaluable addition to our discussions on climate adaptation and disaster risk reduction. Aditya's work in developing early warning systems and his dedication to community engagement and capacity building offer practical and insightful perspectives on managing and mitigating environmental challenges. Join us as Aditya shares his experiences and insights, contributing to our understanding of effective and sustainable disaster management strategies. A very warm welcome to you, Aditya Ranjan, and we are really hopeful to have a positive dialogue today in our session. So,
Thank you, Paulmi. And before I start, I must congratulate Global Climate Association for organizing this online session. During this session, I will be sharing the kind of experience I have been associated with disaster risk reduction and my current association with Panchayati Raj Institution, early warning systems. So this 1 hour will be a sharing platform where I will have the platform where I can share my learnings during this 10 year of in development sector. Thank you.
thank you so much, Aditya. And now, if we could move on towards the question, and we are really um, happy to have someone from the government sector who is working on the grassroots levels in different departments, because you have had a long association with early warning preparedness and mitigation of disaster in face of lots of challenges, and we are extremely glad to have you on board with us. So if you could answer a few questions today and to let our audiences know that what sort of work India has been doing in different levels. And to begin with, I would
Sure.
like to talk about local governments and governance and climate adaptation. So I have a question for you. How can local governance bodies like Panchayati Raj, where you're associated right now, effectively contribute to climate change adaptation and resilience building?
Sure. As you know that currently I'm associated with Panchayati Raj Institution, and as a contribution, Panchayati Raj Institution is offering for climate change or adaptation is Department of Panchayati Raj is ensuring annual action plan for each gram panchayat, that is village level institution or local bodies based on 9 localized theme area to 18 sustainable development goal, and two themes. Theme 4, which talks about water sufficient panchayat, and theme 5, which talks about clean and green panchayat, has been largely contributing to climate adaptation at local governance level. At the same time, we have been also creating in-depth understanding of terms like climate change and its impact among the panchayat committee members and other community volunteers. At the same time, we have been organizing Gram Sabha in each of the community level institution, addressing climate change mitigation factors like reducing emergent energy consumption, uses of fossil fuels, uh, banning of plastic material at the community level, non-renewables building materials, and also to promote measures like uh, planting trees, conserving forest, because Jharkhand, when you talk about Jharkhand, particularly this part of India, we have a large forest area. So conservation of those forest area, uses of good agriculture practices like drip irrigation, water conservation, and measures, and also conserving wetlands which we have in Jharkhand state. So this is how we have been contributing as a Panchayati Raj institution in addressing climate change adaptation at the or bringing resiliency at the community level in local governance.
That is good to know that the government of Jharkhand and government of India is making some positive shifts towards creating a climate resilient community. So now
So
moving on to the talk of community, um, based on your experience that you have had so far with your long spanning career in working with the government and other organization, what strategies have proven most effective in engaging communities in disaster preparedness and risk reductions?
uh, uh, thank you. Since I have more than 9 years of experience in disaster risk reduction or disaster preparedness, some of the major strategies which I have been using or implementing as one is, when you have a community-based disaster risk program, it has an effective community engagement, because people can correlate with the initiatives, or because they know what kind of risk they have, and you, if you go there addressing reducing those risks, the association, or they are directly associating themselves with this program. So my first approach is always to bring community based disaster risk initiatives or program at the community level in order to ensure community engagement. Second, in most of the engagement in disaster risk reduction, my learning, you can say, or my approach of going for implementing disaster risk reduction has always been addressing women groups, particularly in uh, India. We have women led self-help groups, and if you can engage those self-help groups women members in disaster risk reduction, it has better results so far. And at the same time, if you engage youths, we have been engaging youths, it could be boys, girls, it has also a greater impact while implementing disaster risk reduction and ensuring community participation in disaster risk preparedness initiatives or disaster management. Similarly, if you have mainstreaming of disaster risk reduction in development plans. Currently, I'm working with Panchayati Raj Institution, where you have to prepare village panchayat development plan. So mainstreaming of disaster risk reduction initiative in those development plan uh, is one of the strategy for engaging community people in more efficient manner in disaster risk reduction. Thank you.
So, I would like to add something to that. Means, like, I would like to ask a follow-up question on that. These strategies and implementation that you have worked on, especially for disaster preparedness, do you have an example where this worked, where you did something and it worked? If you would like to share any examples of that?
My first when I started my career, in fact, I had a greater experience implementing one of the project in Birpur of Bihar. Basically it was a project of from Lutheran World Relief, and I was working for integrated development um, organization, one of the leading CSO in Bihar. And SSG women group was very active there, and somehow initially we could address those SSG members in addressing or bringing those women groups in disaster related institution at the community level, and it has a very effective uh, result, because they are participating in each of the activities which is addressed for bringing resiliency to the community people. So my experience was huge. We will be discussing with early warning system, and I will be discussing how those women group in particular area has positively affected or influenced the kind of result we wanted.
Hmm.
And for a youth, I can give one example. During COVID 19, I was associated with one of the district in Bihar, and as a consultant, and somehow initially I started developing a kind of pool of youth which involves boys and girls. And during COVID we have a lot of support. We have a lot of support in terms of sharing kind of information we wanted to share from the district authority to the local people. And this group of youth has played a very positive role influencing people why to vaccinate. We have some of the community people who are against the immunization program. Then these youths come out and uh, provided information to the community people in their own language. So this was the kind of approach I've been using in disaster risk reduction, and I find it's very effective.
That is great. Thank you for sharing that. So, now moving on. So, can you discuss the importance and impact of early warning systems in disaster management, especially in context of flood-prone areas?
Okay. Palvi, before we discuss role of early warning system, uh, let's imagine disaster or emergency situation. How you imagine? While imaging, it is associated with human loss. It is associated with loss of livestock. It is associated with loss of property. It could be in terms of houses, public buildings, agricultural loss, business building, loss of business building. Then you have markets closed, loss of basic services, which could be educational services, electricity supply get hampered during that period. Then you have communications system collapsed, health facility it choked, uh, requirement of food is not made during that period, quality water is lacking. Then you have pathetic worst situation of wars during that period, and the, human trafficking, sexual harassment,
Hmm.
the loss of child. These are when you talk about disaster or an emergency situation. Okay, so or uh, can you just imagine vulnerable groups, pregnant women with no facility of treatment on proper time, lactating mothers which has a specific requirement of food uh, to nourish their children. Then you have children moving here and there and might get trapped as human trafficking. Then you have sexual harassment of the children, women in the camp. So just imagine those scenario, then you will realize if there is early information, how it could reflect. Okay, so when you talk about early warning system, it is a system where you receive information on time, or before any disaster occur, you have early warning information. You get information that flood might occur in a particular area within 8 hour, 12 hour, 13 hour, based on certain mechanism which we have developed. Okay, this is basically in layman language, I can say, early warning system. So and when you talk about the kind of impact early warning system, I can explain one of the scenario in 2014. In the I believe it was in August 2nd, a landslide occurred in upstream of Koshi River, which is in Nepal, and my team was working in Bihar in India in the downstream of the river. So the and we community based, we had work on a community based early warning system for that project. Okay, so and in that system we have people in the upstream of the river, and you have suffering community on the downstream river, and sharing information. If there is a rumor of flood like situation, they can get checked from the upstream community. At the same time, we have also ensured technical information being shared at the community level, and for that we have a collaboration with water resource regional local water resource department, which provides technical information to the community on time. Okay, so when this landslide in upstream of the Shun Kosi River, I remember that river, Sun Kosi River in Nepal occurred, uh, it was said that artificial lake was constructed or formed in the upstream of the river, and because and it was said that it was submerging most part of the Nepal. Okay, so if the situation was Nepal had to break those dam, you can say, or artificial dam, which was constructed because of that landslide. And it was said that if that dam is broken, it will create a tsunami like situation in Bihar. Can you just imagine? It was said, it was Aztak, I believe. Yeah, it was Aztak and some of the national news channel which was confirming that a wave of water up to 20 feet high will submerge the project area which I was working. Okay, without confirming the technical path from water resource department. And because of that early warning system which we had developed, community in the downstream, that is the area where I was working, get information that yes, the situation is this, but you need not to worry because we are working on the to mitigate those risks. At the same time, water resource department provided technical information. Okay, and because of that, people in that project area has not evacuate. Otherwise, if there was no any early warning system existing, early warning system, people 100% people in that particular area has to be evacuated for safer places. Okay, and the situation you can just imagine, the chief minister of that Bihar, of the state, comes to the media and brief media that people in this region has to evacuate without knowing technical information from water resource department. So it was tough, But because we had worked with the community, engaging what is early warning system, how they can check if the information is correct or not, if it's a kind of rumor, or and you have technical inputs from water resource department. So based on that, 100% community people stayed in their house. Okay, so why while I was explaining why there is a need of, so if these people has to evacuate it for safer places, you can just imagine the kind of situation it could have.
Hmm.
And you know, in that case, cost of transportation is very high, because in the neighboring area where we had not worked, uh, people from background weaker section of the community has to pay around 20,000 rupees per family to evacuate for a safer places. Okay, similarly, one businessman was informing that had that not information which shared with us, he has a kind of business, he has to sell those products or goods on a cheaper cost. Similarly, one family was informing that had that early warning information that our area was not going to be affected by this flood. We this that family has to evacuate to a safer places. And he was explaining that how a single man can manage, because he was the single male person of the community, and he has to take care of his mother. His wife was sick. He has 4 or 6 livestock to bring to those safe places. He has 3 or 4 children, I believe. So you can just imagine the if early warning system was not there, how he would have responded. So it's I believe it's enough to understand role of early warning system in disaster risk reduction, particularly in flood. Similarly, we have uh, lightning information if you have timely, because nowadays we have or worked on early warning system for lightning also, because in Jharkhand, and particularly the disaster program I was implementing in Bihar, it has played a very significant role reducing risk, because in lightning also you get information 20 to 30 minutes 20 to 30 minutes before it strike. And if you have a system like you have WhatsApp group of community volunteers, you share those information to the community volunteers, and the responsibility of that community volunteers is to inform the community that lightning might strike in that part. So preventive measures might be taken at that community. So this is how early warning system function, and people get benefited.
Thank you for sharing its personal experience, and it actually opened my mind, and I'm pretty sure of everyone who will be hearing this, that there's a need for early warning, not just for evacuating, but also for times when we should not evacuate, and especially in case of underdeveloped or developing nations where there's a big difference between income and earnings. That is something that is very relevant, and thank you for sharing that information. And moving on, something related to the same area, I would like to ask you, what are the major challenges you have faced in implementing sustainable development projects at community level in Panchayati Raj or in your other organizations previously that you have worked in? Are there any challenges that you have
Sure,
witnessed?
sure. Whether it is Panchayati Raj Institution or my association with disaster risk reduction program, sustainability has always been area or approach of development is always been sustainability. Okay, so some of the major challenges which I find or my learning you can could say is people understanding for sustainability is at the community level, when you go to the people, is not that much where they can correlate with their day-to-day development. Okay, so lack of understanding of sustainability and how they can correlate with each other is a major challenge, I believe. Okay, then second, lack of willingness of people for long-term benefits, because if you talk about sustainable development, it brings it has a long-term benefits, but people in this area, I believe, is always in search of getting benefits quickly. So this is another challenge, entertaining these people, or ensuring these people for active participation in sustainable development initiatives. Similarly, you have lack of people participation, particularly in women sector, particularly when I talk about state like Jharkhand. Okay, so active women participation, although we have a reservation of 50% for women leaders, elected representatives in Panchayati Raj system, but their active participation is a major concern, I believe. Then you have a lack of quality resource person, or quality informed person to share those information, or share the thoughts on sustainability with the community is lacking. Then you have lack of engagement of youths in development project. For example, you go for developing GPDP, that is Gram Panchayat Development Plan, but youth engagement is lacking. And you provide number of training on sustainability to the adult person or old age person, they hardly brings uh, those learning in their development plans. But my experience, engaging youth has a better result, ensuring or implementing sustainability in development project. So that was one of the major area, I believe, that engagement of youth in uh, decision making, or engaging those youths in uh, finalizing development plans and ensuring sustainability approach in that plan is always lacking. Then another area where I find as a challenge is coordination among the line departments. Every department is acting individually. So the and you cannot agriculture department is executing agriculture like related activities at the panchayat level or at the community level, but it has nothing to deal with the water resource. It is not water is being reused, but how to conserve the water, or how to further recharge groundwater is not a major matter of agriculture department. Similarly, health department is working in an isolated manner. So every department is acting, but coordination among those department is always lacking. And my personal opinion, or my personal learning, has always been for coordinated approach, or coordinated work by the different department in order to ensure sustainability development uh, in, you can say, for disaster risk reduction or any community led initiatives. These are the some of the major challenges have been facing while implementing a sustainable development program at the community level.
Thank you for sharing this information. That yes, I do agree that there is a need to have a interdepartmental connections between within the government, and also more involvement of active participation from not just one section of the community, but in engaging women and children and youth and all community members need to come together, because everyone is affected by the issues that we are facing currently. So that was a refreshing bit of information on that. And now moving forward, I understand that as a Panchayati Raj state program manager, you also have a role in creating capacity building for disaster preparedness, among others. So, how do you approach the training and capacity building of local authorities and community members in disaster management? Like right now, you said you need more active participation for women participants, say, or youth. So, how do you approach the training, and are there people who are interested in being a part of these training and capacity building programs?
My approach for training and capacity building of local authority or community members in disaster management is basically on three or I can say 5 points I will be dealing with. First, understanding disaster risk. That is, you have to understand what are the local based risk, identify those risks. Based on that only you can build a kind of capacity building program you want for your human resources to be the appropriate to address disaster. Then you if you have identify or identify those local risk, based on that you can address capacity building or preparedness initiative or mitigative action. So first approach has always been to bring or to understand the local risk associated with that community. Then second is strengthening disaster risk governance to manage disaster risk. That is, you need to bring or you need to mainstream disaster risk reduction initiative in each of the development program you want to implement at the community level. So, and with that, it governance has to be there. That is transparency, people participation, because until and unless you address people participation or bring a governance approach, you cannot your approach for disaster risk reduction cannot sustain. So strengthening disaster risk governance to manage disaster risk is the second approach I've been following. Then third one is investment in disaster risk reduction for resilience. For example, we recently has faced COVID-19 pandemic globally. So while I was uh, during that COVID period, I was associated with District Disaster Management Authority Purnia, and I find that it's high time now to invest for ensuring infrastructural development, because this is not the first and last time that biological disaster we are facing. In future we will have similar situation. So it's high time to go for investment in terms of ensuring infrastructural development. It could be in terms of ensuring a proper hospitals, good facilities over there, in terms of capacity building of your staff, community people, how to respond. Because I believe, had community participation ensured or proper information being shared with the community, the kind of loss we had because of this COVID-19 could have been reduced. Okay, so investment in terms of capacity building of your staff, infrastructural development, preparedness initiative, then recovery and rehabilitation approach, all requires investment. So we need to provide financial support for disaster risk initiative. Then fourth one is enhancing disaster preparedness for effective response, so that we can build back better. So recovery projects or rehabilitation project or program of the government or some CSO or reconstructional work, has to take care that it will bring build back better, so that so future of coming generation had a better uh, situation to deal with these disaster. Okay, and at the same time I believe we need to also focus, or approach is also to look after vulnerable group, which includes women. It could be lactating women, pregnant women, because in disaster children, disabled people, these are the some of the vulnerable groups which are more prone to for being affected by disaster. And those approach or kind of support you provide, it has to deal with great amount of dignity and security for them. So dignity for those vulnerable groups has to be maintained while you provide any sort of support. Okay, and the last one I will suggest is to strengthen five resources, that is human resources, that is you have to work on or invest on improving the quality of human resources you have. Okay, in terms of capacity building for different disaster risk reduction initiatives. Then you have community led institution has to be strengthened, so that if uh, COVID like situation occur in the future, these community institution can provide kind of support to the government agency. Okay, so second one is institution, third one is environmental concerns. Environmental resources can be utilized, eh, should be utilized in an efficient manner, so that harmony harmony with the nature is more strengthened because of that. Okay, then you have infrastructure, physical structure has to be strengthened, that in that sector you need to have uh, hospitals, secure police stations for secure providing security. Then you have transport department, which brings uh, road structure in the. So infrastructural development has to be addressed in a proper manner. And then at the same time you need to improve the economical status of the people, poor people, so that they can this development economy of that community. It could be through when you have bring alternative means of livelihood for these weaker section of the community. It will strengthen the economy, will be strengthened. So what we need to, because during COVID uh, it was felt that most of the people having only one means of livelihood, and they were in Delhi, in Mumbai, and and the last destination for everyone during that period was their home village, you can say. So if there is no any means of other livelihood for them, they cannot sustain. For so in order to ensure uh, approach, the kind of approach we need to address, it has to address all these issues at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you for elaborating on this topic, and especially something as concerning as the COVID-19 pandemic. And as the time is passing, those people who had lost their near and dear ones, including us, I'm hoping somebody near to you was also lost during the pandemic. It makes you seriously wonder that have we forgotten the things that have happened and not really focusing on building infrastructure, or do we need to put that in mind this can happen again and we should work on something to make this type of issues better manageable in all levels of the society, especially for the way where there are people within communities also. There are underserved communities, and within those communities, there are older people, sicker people, and then there are mothers who are pregnant, expecting, and lactating. So they need special care. So, what to do about that? This is like, and do you think, I mean, like you have been within the system, you're working in the system. Do you think that these investments and these infrastructures, is there a possibility to be built for like a big country like India? Are there resources available that it can happen?
Look, when I talk about infrastructure, it doesn't means only constructing building.
Mm.
So what I believe is you have small hospitals, you have people associated with that hospital, but the capacity is not that much. For example, I give you during COVID-19, um, oxygen supply of oxygen was very essential.
True.
When I go with the evaluation of the staff associated, would you believe that 95% people were not knowing how to provide oxygen supply to the patient? So when you talk about infrastructural development, you need to bring, apart from the constructing building or in bringing instruments, you need to capacitate those people how to operate those equipment also.
Training.
Okay. Yeah, training of those people, regular association with those people for a long period, so that when such crisis arises, they can provide support on time. Okay. And we have ample area where infrastructural development, you have anganwadis uh, in every part of the country now, even in country like India. Okay, so what needs to be done is to have a proper coordination with this department, capacity building of the people associated with this line department. Then some equipment has to be purchased, because nothing can be compared with the loss of life, human life, or you can say loss of livestock. Okay, so priority has to be given uh, for saving life, and particularly the kind of biological disaster we have witnessed in 2 or 3 years. Uh, uh, so I believe it's my understanding that it's high time now to uh, provide investment for disaster risk reduction. And look, you are investing a lot, ensuring a number of activity at the community level for constructing ponds, road infrastructure is there, but there has to be sustainable approach, and the main area has to be disaster risk reduction, because you can achieve development through different infrastructure, but if you don't you can't address disaster risk reduction in a proper manner, it could harm you, or every development you go can be vanished if disaster risk reduction is not properly addressed, or proper investment in this sector is not addressed. Thank you.
Thank you for explaining the entire situation in such a coherent manner, because you being in the forefront of taking action, you could understand what we were going through as people, like, the normal masses. So, I think we should work on, I definitely think we all should work towards creating better training programs, infrastructure, investment towards the right thing that is important, that what you said, lives matter above everything else. Now,
Sure.
moving on, there are like a last couple of questions I want to ask you. What role can digital media and e-learning tools play in enhancing disaster preparedness and governance? And how do you monitor these, monitor and evaluate the programs of disaster preparedness? If you could just quickly tell something about both of these.
Sure. Starting with the role digital media or e-learning tool can bring. Recently, we witnessed the kind of disaster in terms of coronavirus, COVID-19 pandemic. And during that period, we can to know how digital media and e-learning tool can be effective for ensuring proper monitoring of the kind of initiative we need to take during that disaster. Then it was uh, e-learning for students or college students for ensuring offices being open through online services during emergency. And kind of media was uh, spreading information at the during COVID pandemic was an eye-opening for us how digital media and e-learning can play a role in disaster risk reduction or disaster preparedness initiative and bringing good governance uh, um, while addressing disaster risk reduction. For example, with increasing disasters such as flood, heat wave, cold wave, lightning, what we have been using WhatsApp group in order to coordinate, communicate kind of information or provide instruction, timely instruction to the community how to mitigate the impact of this disaster. I believe as I mentioned during COVID, we had a WhatsApp group of youth volunteers, and they responded quite beautifully, sharing those information. You can say IC material, or you can say the kind of instruction we were passing to the community. So I believe digital media or e-learning uh, is a very good, effective tool for disaster preparedness and bringing governance. And in terms of monitoring or evaluating the effectiveness of disaster preparedness, we have been using a Kobo tool for effective to evaluating the effectiveness of disaster preparedness program, because it involves vulnerability mapping of the vulnerable community or the disaster prone community. Then you have tools for in that Kobo tool. You have tool monitoring tool or evaluating tool for was initiative for that project. Then you have a tool which address people participation. You have gender related approach of the program, like tools to evaluate the effectiveness of gender related approach of the program. Then you have sustainable recovery approach and response approach, evaluating tool. Then you have livelihood approach of the program is being addressed or not. It can be monitored by that Kobo tool. And at the last, what we can say is we have always a feedback tool for ensuring transparency and self evaluation during the program, which ensure overall the effectiveness of disaster risk reduction program at the community level, and ensuring the sustainable approach we have been talking about.
Thank you for sharing about this tool that you have for monitoring. Is this tool something that is like a app or a web-based tool, or is it a framework to understand what is happening and monitoring?
It's a combo of it's a framework type of tool, but it's a it's a mobile app, you can say, where you have, based on the framework, you provide some sort of indicators based on the people, based on that people or the affected community or different stakeholder respond. Okay, based on that framework, you can evaluate the kind of progress or the kind of sustainability you want for your project
So
in
if
disaster risk reduction. Yeah,
that is very interesting. If you could share more details on that later with us,
sure,
perhaps in
sure, sure, sure,
literature, we would like to post it along with this video for our audience to see, look into. And then,
so sure.
thank you so much. And for the last question, that is about the future trends in disaster management. So, what do you see as future trends, and do you foresee any positive things in the field of disaster management, especially in relation to climate change? Is there a positive shift? Is there a negative shift happening, especially with in connection to population and disasters and then things such as COVID pandemic? Uh, Could you
Sure,
shed
sure.
light on
So,
that?
what I will be briefing is that there is an increase in frequency and magnitude of climate-induced disaster nowadays. You have floods on a regular manner in some part of India or some part of Jharkhand or some sort of Bihar. So frequency or the kind of magnitude has increased a lot in recent times. Then you have heat waves, magnitude or the frequency of heat waves or duration of heat wave, cold waves has increased a lot. You have drought like situation. Particularly, I'm currently working with Panchayati Raj Institution in Jharkhand. Most and my previous association working in Bihar, uh, you have a very unusual kind of situation where you have some sort of some part is being submerged because of flood and other part facing drought like situation. So lightning has frequency of lightning has increased a lot in recent times. Then you have cloud burst like a struck situation in some part of the country. So if you talk about climate change related uh, situation, yes, it has increased a lot. So what would be future trend? What's could be a future trend of addressing those challenges which we are facing? That is, we need to bring risk based planning. So if you go for GPDP, that is Gram Panchayat Development Plan, which is in India the basic institute plan at the community level, you need to bring risk-based planning. So you need to identify those risks, and based on that, you need to plan how to mitigate and how to bring sustainability to your community. Okay, the first thing. Then social media and technology has to be used in very efficient manner. How? It is a matter of concern, but you can have use some sort of mitigative measures through social sites, or you can have small videos on identifying a risk, addressing or initiative that has to be taken, or mitigative action for addressing those risks through social media or technology can be used in order to collect those information. So third point is social media and technology, use of social media and technology has to be addressed, or can be used in more efficient manner or in more frequency wise. Then you need to bring public private partnership, because government alone cannot do everything, and some private agencies are also, or some private so civil society organization is also playing vital role in addressing those disaster risk reduction. So we need as a policymaker, we need to, or as a policymaker at the state level, we need to bring private and public partnership type of approach in order to deal with disaster risk management in future. Then nature is facing or mainstreaming of disaster risk reduction in every development project, whether you go for constructing road, you go for making hospitals, you go for bringing the schools. So disaster risk reduction mainstreaming has to be there, because if you go for educational system, we need to train our school students or college students. If some sort of emergency like situation occurs like COVID, how will you respond as a uh, mm, strength to the society, strength to the community? Okay, and how will you ensure your safety? At the same time, how will you provide support to the society to cope up with those disaster? Okay, so disaster mainstreaming at national level, state level, and bringing those plan at the community level has to be one area in future for in disaster risk reduction. And the last one, Department of Panchayati Raj Institution, which has wide spread of uh, elected representative at the community level, and a number of volunteers associated with, number of people directly benefiting. Okay, so Panchayati Raj Institution can play a vital role in disaster risk reduction in future. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for answering these questions, and you have given a lot of things to think about, because we as educators or researchers, scientists, we think on the perspective of more uh, means more on the levels of the science of it. But then when you have worked on the grassroots levels with those people, and you specifically bringing up certain groups of people that are more vulnerable, that makes it so much more closer to the problem of climate change crisis, environmental issues and pollution and other disasters that we are facing. So we hope even like organizations like ours, like Global Climate Association, can be a part in effective dissemination of information and training towards the local communities of the village panchayats and other areas, where we can perhaps share some little knowledge on the issues that are at hand. But like I would like to term you as like heroes in the like the front lines, that people like you, we need more people like you coming up with your stories and sharing it to the world to make this happen, to have the actual infrastructure, and to pick your brains about the what how you implemented certain strategies and how that can be implemented in each local level. So thank you so much, Aditya, for this enlightening conversation, and I'm very confident that most of the our audiences all across the world will benefit deeply with this narrative of yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.